Hey, what's up? My headphones came back to life. I don't know what's going on. I'm still struggling, but you know. Alright, let's see. Oh, there was a school shooting, and I haven't heard of casualties or anything else. The only thing they will say is that the shooter, it was in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and the shooter has been contained. So I don't know. It was a Catholic school. I don't know if there were any injuries, or if the shooter contained means he was killed. They're not giving out a lot of information on this, and I'm not sure why. Because usually they like to flood you with all the gory details, but this time they're not doing that. So apparently there's some sort of censorship involved, or there just isn't a lot of information available. Catholic Church is a very powerful institution. They could be the ones that are shutting down the information flow. Don't know. As it unfolds, I'm getting my information from CNN. Let me just quickly check over at MSNBC, because they like to put sensational news headlines up too, so let's see. Same headline. They also have a headline that Trump made $3.6 billion by being president. I didn't think that was supposed to be... Okay. Stay from away. Department of Homeland Security, FBI said they were aware of this situation. FBI said where the reports coming in and our agents are en route to the scene. Why? They don't do shit when they're there anyhow. They're too busy looking for ICE people. ICE arrests when they get there. I guarantee you there'll be some immigration arrests in that crowd. That's just what they're doing. That might be the reason why that's not really a real story. I don't know. Anyhow, that's all I got. I don't have anything other than there was a shooting. There's nothing about there's nothing about injuries. Pictures don't show any ambulances or anything like that. They show a lot of news vans and the usual mix of police stuff, so who knows. Alright. So, anyhow, that part of the morning is unique. That just happened, too, right around 10 o'clock. So you're only about 20 minutes into it, I think, or something like that. So there's a lot more that could be told, and as the afternoon progresses, I'm sure there will be more stories about it. I tend not to read too much about that stuff. I thought after the mass shootings at schools all had police officers at the gate, or what do you call them? I don't know, security guards or something around the doors to prevent that from happening, from people walking in with weapons. But apparently this is a Catholic school and they don't abide by a lot of rules, but also they don't have a lot of incidences like this, you know. I'm surprised, because going to Catholic school can be an extremely stressful process for a young man or woman, all right? Depending on the school, they have very little judgment, protection against the so-called corporal violence, you know, where they get smacked in the head for doing it with the ruler, or get their fingers cut or something like that, you know. Well, anyhow, I am beginning to realize that the megas... oh, by the way, say good morning to Lucy. She's over here. She's here most mornings with me. She stays very close to me now. She's very protective of me. I like it to a point. She doesn't sleep in her bed anymore. She climbs out of bed and sleeps next to me. So I don't know whether that's because she doesn't like the bed anymore, or she's just nervous about me. Not a good sign when a dog gets nervous about you like that. You know, they know health problems, so could be something major going on. I'm not sure, but if I try to explain it to my wife, I will get nothing but shit, and I don't really need shit. Okay, my mouth's a little dry. I got to take a cough drop here. That's what I use them for. Probably the same amount of sugar that's in a Lifesaver or something like that, but their cough drops are easier to find than, you know, a non-fruit Lifesaver down here. You know, and I hate fruity Lifesavers because I'm allergic to some of the fruit that's in it. You know, I don't like red fruit except apples, and they're not really a red fruit. You know, they could be a green fruit, but the edibles are red, but you know, there are other colors mixed in there. Okay. What else is happening? Oh, it's becoming more apparent that MAGA supporters of Trump are very much like Trump in the sense that they don't read. They just listen to what people their friends have to say, which means they're not getting a legitimate view of the various problems that are facing America. They listen to guys on Fox TV, or, well, I'd say they listen to NPR, but NPR radio isn't around that much anymore. But they would do, if they had been smart, MAGA would have taken them over. But MAGA doesn't exhibit a lot of intelligence. They're more into not doing things subtly. They're doing things as violently as they possibly can, with the shock value and hoping that nobody's going to get upset. It has to happen sooner or later, because you can't keep you're pushing the American people into a corner. And America's like a rat, I guess. You saw this in the beginning of World War II. I'm not that familiar with the beginning of World War I, so I know there was a lot of similarities between the beginning of the two wars in terms of the reactions of the American public, but I don't follow the World War I that much. But when World War II was happening, America didn't want to get involved in it, you know. And this is where some people say Roosevelt let the bombing of Pearl Harbor happen to get us involved in World War II. I don't know whether that's true or not, but we would have eventually gotten involved, I think, but not, you know, because of the aggressiveness of the two countries that were doing the aggression, Germany and Japan. Now, so what I'm saying is that the people back then didn't want anything to do with the war, really. A lot of people didn't. There was a very big isolationist movement. I think that was the term was used more in World War I than it was in World War II. But anyhow, there was this isolationist theory going around, you know, don't get us involved in this, you know. We don't need to be involved, and everything's going fine with us. We can sell guns and ammo to both Japan and Germany and make a fortune. You know, these were the businessmen inside the country. But then, the American public was more or less backed into a corner when Japan went and attacked Pearl Harbor. The Americans had no choice. They had to respond. Americans were so pissed off that Americans died. 3,000 Americans were killed, you know. And the reaction was somewhat different than that to 9/11, but 9/11 just resulted in a lot of people joining the military and wanting to go kill Arabs and stuff like that. This was an entirely different situation. This was gearing up for war, and almost overnight, this country turned into a war-driven country. So when you sit around and you have these MAGAs doing all these atrocities and off-color operations, like the immigrants and whatnot. Yeah, this is like the beginning of World War II, where the Americans don't really care. Hey, they're taking blacks, they're taking colored people and what have you, and immigrants, and they're taking, well, who cares? Women, yeah, women belong in the kitchen. They shouldn't be out there. Transgenders, they're disgusting. Well, I, have gay friends, lesbian friends. Have a couple of relatives that might. I don't think I have anybody. No, I take that back. I don't have anybody in that I know that's transgender. I've met a lot of them, but I don't have them as in my family circle or friends or anything like that. And that's not because they're not welcome. It's just I don't have enough of them nearby where that would happen, the gay people I've had since I was in high school, and they taught me a lot of things, and I learned a lot from them, and I learned what my mom said. Before there were gay people, interracial marriages was one of the things that my mom used to help me understand what was going on in the world, and then gay and lesbians, I rather not deal with the overtly gay people. I haven't met an overtly gay lesbian, and very outgoing with the I haven't met any of them yet. I've met a lot of lesbians because when I when I started making friends with the lesbian community, it was very they weren't respected at all, so they didn't come out like they weren't out like the well, I don't know, they just didn't act gay for the most part, but you could tell. And my friends, the ones I knew, the ones I met, came out and told me they just they had enough confidence in themselves, and my reaction would be more positive, and it was positive, I don't see them as a danger to the American public or anything, But anyhow, going along with this, you have megas just don't read anything, and no matter, you have to read something, It's that's the problem with the politicians. They don't read, and the American public doesn't read. They don't have a time to check a bill and understand this rider that's added to the bill, which is it's a very simple thing. It's just a law or regulation that's added to a bill that's been passed, and they send it back to the Senate, and they repass the bill, and eventually somebody gets screwed by the rider. That was their method before. Now their method is much, much more direct, and they don't understand the bills that they're approving. There are Trump's big, beautiful bill. The people that presented it to the various senators and whatnot did it in such a way that they only were exposed to those items in the bill that they supported. They weren't getting a lot of exposure to the negative sides of that bill. I'm not sure. I've never seen that bill. I've never sat down and tried to read it. It's like Project 2025. It's 800 pages, and I lose my mind. Right around 100 pages in. So I'm not really one to discuss those issues, but I can tell you that the people that wrote Project 2025 are very sick people. All right, so that sort of covers the bullshit. Like I said, I'll keep my eye on that story. Let's check it one last time before I leave. I don't show breaking news is about all I can get. Let's see. No, it's the same shit that was up there when it first came up. I'm sure he'll send the National Guard up to this to Minnesota now, to Minneapolis. And I'm not sure Wentz will like that, but you know he hasn't got any. They're not. Okay, I don't know. They're supposed to hold a news conference at 10:30. That's probably going on now. Oh, 11:30 Eastern time. So it should be going on now, I think. But anyhow, there's no real evidence of anything going on right now. So anyhow, I'll subscribe to my channel, you know, and you get me mumbling and staggering along here, and it's like the old fireside chats by FDR. You know, he's sitting around and talking to you people like you're in the room with him. You know, I'm not here to shove my agenda down your throat. It wouldn't work, because if that's what you need, then you're never going to listen to anybody anyhow. So that's it for today. Subscribe, comment, whatever you feel like doing. Like I said, you can always ask for a picture, and I'll send you a picture, and you can put it on your dartboard and throw darts at it, or you can take it to the rifle range and shoot it in the head. In the meantime, folks, have a great day, and I'll talk to you.